It's 2200 hours in Banjul and this is GRTS News. We're broadcasting live from viewers in the Gambia and around the world. In the headlines this are the return of the seasonal harvest period. GRTS examines how climate change affects this year's cropping season, increasing prospects for low yields. Attaining Sustainable Development Goal 2. The Minister of Agriculture urges concerted action to end hunger amid growing food insecurity fueled by conflict and disease. And a late afternoon inferno ravages a family house in Kanifing, leaving the family in a desperate situation without accommodation. Away from home, a dramatic U-turn after a week of missile strikes. Putin claims he has no desire to destroy Ukraine. Plus, living on the edge, the International Monetary Fund says Africa's economy is in a precarious position as rising costs and prices increase social tensions. Well, these and much more coming ahead in this edition of the news. I am Aissatou Keita and thanks for joining us. Well, it's great to have you here. We begin this special bulletin with the annual harvest season currently underway as farmers across the region begin harvesting their produce. The 2022 cropping season got off to a great start with unprecedented rainfall since the skies opened up in June, with high hopes of bumper harvest raising farmer optimism. However, the effects of climate change has taken a major toll on crop performance, leaving many farmers in a desperate situation due to low yields below expected prospects. Our North Bank correspondent Farmer Akanyi visited farmers in different communities across the region to assess the outlook of the harvest season.
Chilling tales of Modify, a smallholder farmer who lives in the village of Meme. I don't know what these black spots are, but it has really affected my farm, he said. The early millets have failed this year. Wherever you go throughout the country, the narrative is the same.
In Gambia, fomunti dem bena kadu bi lañ la jambatal moy suna bi baxut suna bi dang koy gis ni mu taxaw nga ne he ki suna bi baxna way boko te gubbi dara neku fa mu ngi ñuul.
Most farmlands in the provincial Gambia are battling with fertility due to continuous cultivation. So for farmers to have better yields, they must regenerate the soil using inorganic fertilizers. For Modify, his loss is greatly attributed to the cost of fertilizer, but it's also possible that he may be one of the victims of climate change. I traveled for some kilometers to the community of Ndungucharen to meet a champion farmer.
ñun wéedu wuñ ci politique rek yaakaar politique déedéet dañuy bay ndax tooli gerte bi tey ñu nekk ni ñun ñoko bay suñu alal la ñoko ñaqat waaye nag dafa am loo xam ne tey ci mbayteef.
I don't only rely on politics. This farm is one of my farms.
nga may la kattan nga liggéey.
I have invested my resources here to reach to the state.
waaye nag ba tey ñu ngi talal askan bi di talal.
Let's go back to the farm because in my view that's the only solution to transform this country.
bay mbayteef bi ndax mbayteef bi rek moo mën a yóbbu Gambia dara mënta yóbbu Gambia lu may mbay mi ñu dooleel ko.
Amat's farm is pretty extensive. A rough estimate of about 12 hectares of peanut is already mature for harvest.
ab Gambia nañ dellu ñu dem liggéey rek moo ñu mën a yóbbu buñ liggéeyu rek dañoo talal suñu réew ndax réew mi du mën a dem mukk te liggéey yomut liggéey boobu nag fi toll nii dañ see talal suñu loxo suñu président Adam réew mu dooleel liggéeykat yi.
I called on His Excellency the President and his government to continue supporting agriculture and farmers because it is only through farming we can change this country.
lii dina wan nit ñi xam ne liggéey rek mooy dëgg.
Amat is a politician but also a big guru in the art of farming. He sees the opportunity to call on the government to provide more support to farmers whilst urging all citizens of the North Bank to come back to the land to ensure food self-sufficiency. Many farmers across the region have started to realize the fruits of their months of labor, but a good chunk are battling with what they describe as crop failures. For the news, I am Farmer Akanyi.
Well, let's cross over to the Lower River community of Pakalinding, where Women Development Association PODA partnered with the Village Development Committee to plant dozens of trees in the village. The move is meant to encourage tree planting to protect the community from the effects of climate change. Usman Balde.
Promoting the sustainability growth of the planted trees, the VDC formed 15 committees to oversee and take care of the planted trees. The VDC called on the various groups to be committed to their assigned responsibilities, promising that there will be prize for each group which sustain their plan.
We want to contribute towards climate change because we have seen that climate change is something which is really affecting the entire world. So the only thing we can do is to come and plant some trees.
Rohit Kante, a participant and a native of Pakalinding village, applauded the turnout of the women in the fight against climate change.
I advise all the women of Pakalinding, all the Kafo, all the leaders of the Kafo to come together as one people so that all the trees will be sustained.
She used the opportunity to give a brief background of the association.
We have 14 Kafos that combine together to form this association called Pakalinding Women's Association. Why we call it Powder Kafo is because most of the women, they are elderly people, they cannot pronounce Women Association Club, so that's why we say Powder Kafo, so that it will be easy for them to pronounce it.
Pendapa, a VDC committee member in Pakalinding, said the exercise has brought unity among the people of the village, especially women, noting that it has inspired them to work together for the welfare of the village. Alaji Ibrahim Toure, on behalf of the village youths, used the opportunity to thank Mr. Sidi Kinte, who is the brain behind the tree planting exercise. He assured that they will protect the trees to enhance development in the community of Pakalinding. Usman Balde, GRTS News.
Now, a late afternoon fire totally ravaged a family house in Carnifin Layout on Friday. Family members say an electric spark caused the blaze, which started around 5 p.m. at the end of a long electricity outage on Friday. The family of 16 lost everything, including belongings valued at $300,000, and are currently struggling to find accommodation, especially for their children, who have been accommodated by neighbors, providing all the help they can muster for the household. The family is now seeking help to recover the loss caused by the devastating blaze. Now, Destination Gambia is all set for a new holiday winter break, opening the country for travelers. The first batch of tourists jetted into the destination on Friday as officials welcomed the 2022-2023 holiday season, attracting holiday makers from around the world. The prospects of a difficult winter amid war and spiking gas costs could drive scores of holiday makers to the country's shores, and officials have been touring global markets to promote travel to the smiling coast. As always, the British opened the winter break with the first flight making a graceful landing at the Banjul International Airport on Friday. Let's hear more from the Director of Marketing, Mr. Adam Anjay of the GT Board.
Because at least this is the beginning of our tourism season for 2022-2023, and as you are aware, that UK is our main market, and by having 164 passengers on board the flight to the Smiling Coast, it speaks a lot. And there are some more coming. For us as a board and as a ministry, we are very, very optimistic about this season. Today is 14th of October. I cannot remember the last time we had any flight that comes earlier than 14. So this is the first time, and you know, the signs are very good. Like I said, the ministry, the board of directors, the GT board, the DG is, he's a #1 marketer anyway. So you can imagine. But like I said, we're doing what we are mandated to do, and the whole country will see a difference, because for us, we live with tourism, and when tourism starts, you see everybody having a smile. Everybody has a smile.
What do we have in store for tourists coming into the Gambia?
We have a lot to offer. I think when you talk about the Smiling Coast and our unique selling proposition, ranges from leisure, ranges from conferencing, ranges even from excursion, a lot of things, to be honest, even nature, because if you look at our niche products now, you consider, the River Gambia is actually on top. So there are so many things that people can come and do here, in terms of surfing, golfing, you name it. But like I said, the country has a unique products, and we're here to say it with the whole world that the Smiling Coast of Africa has opened its doors for all visitors. We have just started with the Gambia experience, and on Sunday we'll have Corendon from Holland, and the list goes on and on and on. Okay. So just watch out, some more coming.
Well, that was Adam Anjay there, the Director of Marketing at the Gambia Tourism Board, speaking about the maiden tourist flight of the 2022 holiday season. And the second flight is expected to be in Banjul in 3 hours' time. Now, Sunday, October 16th is World Food Day, set aside to put quest for food security and spotlight. Populations across the globe are facing soaring hunger and food prices exacerbated by the conflict and disease. This comes amid a raft of crises starving millions of vulnerable people around the world, alongside increased malnutrition as food systems face the ravages of climate change, affecting local and small-scale agriculture, which is seen as a long-term and sustainable solution against food insecurity. Global food production is currently affected by 3 major factors, specifically the climate emergency, impact of COVID-19, and new conflicts such as Russia's invasion of Ukraine, which is contributing to a major upheaval in global food and energy markets, with rise in food and fuel prices putting millions at risk of hunger. Awanjai takes a close look at the crisis.
This year's commemoration of World Food Day is themed on leaving no one behind, towards better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life. The Minister of Agriculture and the Director of the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization issued statements urging actions to end hunger and attain food security, noting that COVID-19 immensely impacted efforts to achieve food sustainability goals. Dr. Demba Sabali, the Minister for Agriculture, emphasized the importance of celebrating World Food Day for those involved in agricultural practices.
The day highlights the importance of food security and the need to end hunger around the world. In addition to raising awareness about hunger, World Food Day also seeks to promote sustainable agricultural practices and highlight the importance of ensuring access to nutritious food. It is an important day to reflect on the progress made in combating hunger and malnutrition and the challenges that remain. It is also a time when we acknowledge the hard work of our farmers and other key stakeholders in the agriculture and food sectors.
The world faces a profound food security challenge intensified by conflicts, economic crisis, and a raging climate emergency. Experts say agriculture is among the most cost-effective humanitarian interventions being expanded to end hunger. The Director General of the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, Koo Dong-yu, outlined the impact of rising food prices around the world, hampering the fight against hunger.
Today, 3.1 billion people around the world still cannot afford a healthy diet. Hunger continues to rise, and it's affected 828 million people in 2021, an increase of about 46 million people since 2020, and 150 million since 2019. Farming and malnutrition are leading to loss of lives and put at risk the health future for our children.
Dr. Sabali added that urgent investments are needed in the agricultural sector in the fight for food sustainability.
Today, more than ever, we need to look inwards within our country to achieve better production, better nutrition, a better environment, and a better life, in a drive to achieve self-sufficiency and reliance. Our agri-food system holds great potential for a more equitable and prosperous future, as they are interlinked to many areas of lives and the economy. More investment, both public and private, is needed to ensure no one is left behind, especially in times of disaster and situations of widespread hunger worldwide. It is vital to ensure support for the people's livelihood that's effective, coordinated, sustainable, and timely enough to take account of critical planting seasons and livestock production.
Current food insecurity levels make it critical to transform agri-food systems and build more efficiency in agricultural practices, honoring this year's theme to leave no one behind.
our agri-food systems hold great potential for a more equitable and prosperous future, as we are interlinked to the many areas of our lives and economy, from agriculture to the natural resources, to energy, to health, and many more. Agriculture is among the most cost-effective humanitarian interventions. To honor our pledge to leave no one behind, it is critical that we transform our agri-food system to be more efficient, more inclusive, more resilient, and more sustainable.
The World Food Day was established in 1945 by the FAO. This year's celebration finds the world in a major pandemic, conflicts, climate change, and rising food prices, greatly impacting global food security. The Minister for Agriculture said, everyone needs to act in solidarity to ensure no one is left behind in the advocacy for food sustainability. Hawanjai, GRTS News.
Now, this is the Gambia's robotics team flying the country's flag high at the first global challenge in Geneva. The Gambia's robotics team is currently in Switzerland taking part in the first global competition, bringing together national robotics teams around the world for a major face-off. Team Gambia won its first and third matches at the global event. The first global challenge is an Olympic-style robotics competition where participating countries build and program a robot to compete. The competition, embracing science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, is a deliberate effort to give young robotics teams around the world an opportunity to showcase their STEM skills. Now, the Department of Forestry, in partnership with the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, have given prizes to some communities in the Upper River region for their outstanding performance in protecting their forests and bush free and other damages activities. The prizes including milling machine, bicycle race, and cooking pots to motivate them in their efforts in complementing the work of the forest in the protection of the forest. Regional correspondent Seydou Kamara has more on that in this report.
This is a gratitude award by the Department of Forestry and the Community-Based Sustainable Dryland Forest Management Project to communities that perform well in the protection of the forest from bushfire, deforestation, and other harmful activities. The Regional Forestry Officer in the Upper River Region, Yankubo Bajon, said the presentation of these materials to communities is a motivation mechanism rewarding community efforts, complementing their work in forest management, protecting woodlands from bushfire and exploitation.
Our enrichment efforts is at stake when we have forest fires. So that is the more reason why communities that have performed well in assisted natural regeneration, that is basically fire protection, fire belt clearing, patrolling, and so on, to at least give a token of our appreciation for others to also emulate what these communities have done this far. And the materials are there to strengthen their fire management capacity.
The prizes are in two categories, separating joint forest management parks under community care and gazetted forest parks, with prizes going to community forest managers protecting forest resources that have been handed over to communities.
In these communities, okay, then they have been protecting the forest from fires for quite a number of period, because you will see that, okay, then an assessment was done and then a set of criteria were put in place, and then this is what the staff followed to sort see that, okay, then the communities who have protected their forest, or the communities who have joined with the Department of Forest Department, to ensure that forest parks are being managed, you understand, are protected from forest fires for a number of period. So this is why now, okay, then we are giving them, at least a token or a reward of equipment, so that at least that would, at least motivate them. And then as well as for communities that are also, in the community forest management activities, they will be motivated, they will be inspired, to say that, okay, then they also can continue on the management of their forest resources, at least to protect them from forest fires.
The Deputy Governor of the region, Mamadi Sise, congratulated the beneficiary communities for their effort and commended the Department of Forestry for the initiative. Sise advised communities to make best use of the materials. Speaking on behalf of the beneficiaries, Ibrahim Wali expressed delight and appreciation to the Department of Forestry and partners for the gesture and assured officials the materials will be put to good use.
Today is a very happy moment for me, all right, and for those who benefited from these materials given to them from the forest officer. This will be given to our patrolmen for them to go around to monitor and coordinate other activities in the forest. Those villages who are not opportune enough to have this thing, I will definitely advise them to contribute, to work hard, hand in glove, more especially those villages who are not having community forests at the in their villages.
According to officials, this initiative will serve as an encouragement mechanism and inspire other communities to emulate beneficiary communities. The awarded communities include Tuba Wopa and Saregaba, who won the first prize. Dramani received the second prize, and Demba won the third prize, Kusi fourth prize, and Tuba Wuli won the fifth prize. The beneficiary communities were urged to put up mechanism to sustain the materials, which include milling machine, bicycles, rakes, cutlasses, and cooking pots. Seydou Camara, reporting for Justice News from Basse Upper River region.
Now, the Ministry of Health, through its Environmental Health Unit, has wrapped up a 2-day training on standard operational procedures on incinerators for supervisors and operators in the Central River region. Modla Misana has the details.
This incinerator is one of 7 medical incinerators provided by the Gambia government with funding from World Bank for hospital waste management across the country. Public health officials in the Central River region gathered this morning to train supervisors and operators on standard operational procedures for using the machine.
We installed them since June, but we are developing SOPs on how to operate these machines and how to run them. So we trained the operators yesterday on how the theory part. Today we are training them how to burn the safety boxes, because we all know needle and syringes, if they are used on someone, you don't know the status of the guy, and someone got in contact with this, you can contact HIV/AIDS, hepatitis, and something else. So we were overwhelmed before this one's arrived.
The practical aspect of this 2-day training at the regional level features both theory and hand-on exercise, showing participants ways to operate and incinerate medical waste.
We did the curing process 2 months ago, where we do the curing for a period of 88 hours. From there, we did the training of the operators and the supervisors. And we also developed the standard operating procedures, which was developed 3 weeks ago in Biam. From there, we also did the validation, and today we are here to do the final training of the supervisors and also started the incineration of the safety boxes, because we are having a lot of safety boxes in the health facilities.
The standard procedure also entails training in safety measures using personal protective equipment.
You go to a health facility, you have a lot of waste. So accumulation of those waste can cause so many hazards, especially around those areas. So like bringing at the incinerator to incinerate them is very much significant. It's going to reduce the hazard and of course the volume of waste around and within the health facilities.
The idea here is to effectively dispose waste and hazardous materials from the hospital by permanently burning them.
We are very particular with infection prevention and control. And wherever we go to, we do see a lot of safety boxes lying about, which could really pose danger to both the health workers and the people who are coming to seek treatment from the facility. If this is put in place and working properly, the accumulation of these toxic materials within our health facilities will be very reduced, and that the working environment will be very safe.
This training is among many programs aimed at educating participants in the management of vital waste machines as the health sector moves to raise standards. Maud Lamin Sane reporting for GRTS News from the Central River region.
Well, a story by Maud Lamin Sane takes us to our first break. The news returns in a moment. Do stay.
Afrique yëpp ñoo joxante daje fii ci Sénégal loolan la ñu ne guddik Fojeka bango guddik Fojeka bu mag bi mbokk yi soirée de gala bi ñëpp di xaar benn yoon lay am ci at bi soirée bi dàq ci soirée yi mbokk yi ku koy dëgg ñu ne Basse Koukouyate Ami Sakho bàyyeekoo Mali Roga Roga du Congo Salif Keita du Mali, Assane Ndiaye ak waa Ngewel gi Sénégal, Wally Balago Seck ak waa Ramdan fii ci King Fahd Palace, la grande soirée de gala bi nga xam ne moom la ñëpp doon xaar. Mbokk yi ku invité d'honneur ba ñu ne Adja Kiné Lam, ku ñuy rendre hommage ñu ne Papa Thione la ñuy rendre hommage ndax moo doon tëgg guddi gu rëy gi. Mbokk yi ñëpp ñëw, Afrique ñëpp ñëw, kenn desul, képp kuy liggéey ci économie bàyyeekoo fépp ci Afrique ñëw ci forum bi jeex nag guddi ga nag ñëpp sañse. Dama ni robe dootul des Ndakaaru, costume dootul des Ndakaaru, dàll bu rafet dootul des Ndakaaru. Jigéen ñi xam ngeen ni dañoo jël ay dàll yoo xam ne 2 étages 3 étages wala R+5 wala sax léeg-léeg ñu sol R+10 di jaabante ci biir soirée de gala ba. Ma ne leen Wally Balago Seck nee na bu ñëwee ngeen xam ne dëgg la. Assane Ndiaye naka noonu, Salif Keita naka noonu, Roga du Congo, Basekou Kouyaté ak Ami Sakho. Rendez-vous le samedi 22 octobre au chapiteau du King Fahd Palace à partir de 21h. Teel leen a jënd seen billet au 33 824 76 23 wala 77 432 74 45. Billet yi ña ngi koy jaayee Fojeka Sacré-Cœur 3, Zik FM Sen TV wala chez Adja Ombilico wala chez Marianne Mendy Ndindi Kër Galas. Xaaral ma jëli sama nœud papillon man soirée bi ku ma fa dëgg ne ma massa.
As the countdown to the global showpiece in Qatar edges closer, the national broadcaster GRTS will be airing the FIFA 2022 World Cup games in Qatar live on TV. 32 nations across 5 confederations will compete across 5 host cities in the state of Qatar. The greatest moments in FIFA World Cup history awaits the sporting world. Enjoy world stars as they showcase their talents and compete for glory. To be a sponsor of the FIFA 2022 World Cup Games airing on GRTS TV, call GRTS Commercial Service on 4377-214, 996-8585 or 254-7272. The FIFA World Cup 2022 starting November 20th to December 18th, 2022. Be part of this masterpiece event in global football.
Welcome back. Now, missiles have been raining down on Ukraine for days, but Russian President Vladimir Putin says he doesn't wish to destroy Ukraine and has no immediate plans to keep up with widespread airstrikes. Moscow launched a barrage of strikes on towns and cities for the past 5 days, leaving many Ukrainians wondering where they can turn to find safety.
Destruction, more desperation. Zaporizhia faces another round of shelling. After days of continued attacks, the cleanup will be massive.
You know what I can tell you? We got used to the missile strikes. The only thing is, we are told to hide. Hide where? We don't have any place to hide nearby. You can't hide in the cellar because you'll be trapped by debris and no one will find you. So we go outside and we wait until it's over.
This fresh missile strike on Zaporizhia is part of a continued barrage, but Russian President Vladimir Putin says the high-intensity attacks in Ukrainian cities will not continue.
There is no need for massive strikes, at least for now. We'll see from there.
Putin also declared his massive mobilization of Russian troops is almost complete.
This work, the mobilization, is coming to an end already. As of now, 222,000 of the mobilized are already joining the armed forces. Of the 300,000, I believe that within 2 weeks, about 2 weeks, all mobilization activities will be completed.
In recent days, Ukraine has retaken much of the Russian-occupied Kherson region. Following those land gains, Russia is now urging civilians to leave Kherson.
The presence of a large number of civilians makes it difficult for the military to maneuver, and most likely, shall we say, it's dangerous for life.
Kiev fears the call for the civilian evacuation in the region could precede an escalation in Russian attacks.
Well, the International Monetary Fund has just released its economic outlook for sub-Saharan Africa entitled Living on the Edge, which in a nutshell means a doubling of inflation. The report says 1 in 8 people in the region is on the brink of starvation, while rising costs and prices are increasing social tensions. Take a listen.
Indicates that right now policymakers in the region are facing a very, very difficult environment. And this is after a number of previous shocks. So countries had faced the pandemic and now the spillovers from the war in Ukraine, and now given very high food, fuel, fertilizer prices that are like a laser beam hitting some of the poorest countries and the poorest people, given they have large shares of food in their consumption baskets. There's really a cost of living crisis in many countries. And this is in the face then of a very difficult global environment where global interest rates are rising, financial conditions are tightening, growth is declining across the world, particularly in the advanced economies. And so this compounds the difficult environment. And then, domestically, countries are facing a range of different shocks also. You have climate shocks, drought in the Horn of Africa, one of the worst droughts in some time. And this is compounding also the food insecurity problems. And this comes at a time also with very high debt vulnerabilities. So countries' space then to deal with these problems has been compressed. Countries need to help themselves by navigating as best they can with strong policies, but they need international support also. So the fund, the IMF, has been supporting countries with programs, then financial support, capacity support, policy advice, and the international community also needs to support with humanitarian support, helping countries that are there in debt difficulties, and providing financial support through this difficult time.
While you're watching us live from Banjul, I am Aisha Tuketa, and a quick look at our main points once again. The return of the seasonal harvest period. GRTS examined how climate change is affecting this year's cropping season, increasing prospects for low yields. Attaining Sustainable Development Goal 2, the Minister of Agriculture urges concerted action to end hunger amid growing food insecurity fueled by conflict and disease. And a late afternoon inferno ravaged a family house in Carnifin, leaving a household of 16 in a desperate situation without accommodation. Away from home, a dramatic U-turn after a week of missile strikes. Russia's Vladimir Putin said he has no desire to destroy Ukraine. While living on the edge, the International Monetary Fund says Africa's economy is in a precarious position as rising costs and prices fuel social tensions. Well, that was all we had time for in today's edition of GRTS News. From me and the entire news team, we want to thank you for the pleasure of your company and continue watching GRTS. Stay tuned for Extra Touch.
My name is Lamin Chenikan, Governor of North Bank Region. Welcome to my farmland This farm was given to me by the Alcalo Saba to cultivate groundnut. So you can see for yourself, it's about approximately 2.5 hectares. So this year I'm going to cultivate groundnut on this farm. The motivation that I got from the chief, Alaji Jan, was a successful season last year. Chief encouraged me to do farming, and last year I cultivated, I think, 1.5 hectare of groundnut farm, and I was able to get about 28 bags of groundnuts, which is $14 for a start. So that motivates me to double my effort for this year. That's why I increased the productivity from 1 hectare to 2.5